How's it going, guys? Cameron here with Canadian Gamer coming at you with another video. My second time trying to record this, I ran into some technical difficulties with my lighting situation. But that's okay because I was getting a little bit too... The video, was getting a little bit too long in the tooth. So now I can just sort of maybe recap what I was trying to say. So I've been busy. I've been hooked on Need for Speed Carbon for the PS3. I'm not going to talk about it here, but really good game. I'm at the very end of it. I'm compiling... Well, I've got the video compiled, but I'm in the process of putting together a video review for the game The Quarry, which I recently completed on the Xbox Series X. So keep a lookout for that over the next couple of days. So what I want to do today is, because I have time on my hands, I'm a little bit lazy lately with regards to my content. I've got some time, but I have been busy. So I have time to put out just a conversation piece like I'm doing today. But I just don't feel like editing video all that much, if that makes sense. So I thought today would be a good time to sort of recap or give you guys my initial impressions on what it's like to own a Nintendo Switch. In the year 2024, I'm a late adopter to the Nintendo Switch. I have it here. I'm not quite sure if this is the original model or the revision where they tweaked was it the battery or one of the chips? Not quite sure. I'll have to look enough to run the serial code. So I'll just give you my initial impressions, throw in a couple of likes and dislikes, and we'll leave it at that. I don't want it to be a long video. So as you guys know, I picked up a Switch a couple of months ago. And actually, the first thing I wanted to do before I even really show you what games I have and give you my final thoughts and all that good stuff, I wanted to sort of, I don't know, share with you what I think the new Switch will be, or whatever it'll be called. I don't think it's going to be called a Switch 2. Similar to what John Linneman said at Digital Foundry, I do agree with what he said. I could see Nintendo releasing the next Switch where it's just an all-encompassing unit like a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally. And what I mean by that is, you know, while the idea of having the Joy-Cons and being able to remove them and dock the console, you know, it seems like a great idea on paper, but how many of you gamers out there actually do that? I'd be shocked if a lot of you guys docked this and then removed the Joy-Cons and that whole bit. I don't know. I've never hooked this up to the TV. I don't plan on doing that. The other thing too is the Joy-Cons are extremely uncomfortable to hold, in my opinion. My hands have cramped up on me a couple of times real bad after lying down and playing the Switch for a couple of hours. I find the buttons are too small. It's hard to game seriously on this thing, to be honest with you. So, and the Joy-Cons have a little bit of play in them while they're on there. There's a little bit of wiggle, as you guys know. So I could see Nintendo releasing a new Switch, whatever they're going to call it, and it's going to be, you know, as powerful as a PS4 Pro or an Xbox Series X. That would be really cool. But to have the Joy-Cons that are not removable, that are way more comfortable to hold in your hands for a long period of time, I think that would make more sense. I think a lot of you guys out there would be more interested in the portability of the Switch versus removing the Joy-Cons. I don't think that many people really took advantage of that aspect of it. Maybe I'm wrong. So, I do enjoy the Switch. I like it a hell of a lot more than the Wii U, which I ended up selling recently. The Switch has a better screen, a bigger screen, better battery life, better games, better ergonomics than the Wii U. The Wii U is a huge misstep for Nintendo. I don't really regret selling it. There are good games for the Wii U, but the Switch is really what the Wii U wasn't and what it should have been, right? Let's be honest with you. Even the build quality is heads and tails above the Wii U. You know, as far as what I use for my case, I've got a Kevlar case. Now, this is actually for a Switch Lite. My dumbass, I bought it not even looking at it. My Switch fits in here. It kind of wiggles around a bit, not the way that it's supposed to fit in there. You're supposed to fit your Switch Lite in here, down here. But no, it's good. Kevlar case. Can fit about 20 games in there. I don't have many games. I don't. I have Quake from Limited Run Games, which I picked up recently used. Well, actually, it was brand new. Excuse me. It was brand new. But it was somebody that was selling it on the classifieds, and I was able to pick it up for a really good price. I think I picked it up for like $30. Deadly Premonition 2, haven't played it yet. Physical copy, really cool. Cuphead, Cruisin' Blast, which you can get pretty cheap. And Disney's Illusion Island, which I am still playing through. I'm about 40% done this game. Really long game. So with the Switch, with collecting games for the Switch, and these cases look horrible in the games room with these red spines. Yeah. So when collecting for the Switch, it's a double-edged sword. It can be. I shouldn't say it's addicting because I don't have that many games for it, but I can see why and how others have gone down that rabbit hole of the Switch addiction. It feels a lot more satisfying to purchase a physical game that's on an actual. I know they're not huge cartridges, but you know what I mean. It's like a little SD card. There's more. It's more rewarding as far as ownership is concerned over a disc. At least that's what it feels like to me. That being said, it's very difficult to collect for the Nintendo Switch. A lot of great titles come out from, again, Limited Run Games, Strictly Limited, PlayAsia, and all those companies out there. An example would be Quake, which again I have here. This wasn't really limited per se. You could go to Best Buy and pick it up when it came out, I believe. But you can no longer pick it up, right? And a lot of the scalpers jumped on it, bought a couple of copies so they could make a pretty penny. So when Quake 2 was released, I had not yet purchased the Switch, so I ended up getting Quake 2. I ordered it, and I got it in the mail recently for the Xbox Series X. But had I owned the Switch when I had pre-ordered that game, I probably would have purchased it for the Switch. And the reason for that is a lot of pretty much all games that are released for the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X, and the Switch version of that game always tends to hold its value the best. It just does. It's a more, how should I say it? The Switch is more of a system that people, I don't know how I'm trying to say it, because people do like to collect for the Xbox, people do like to collect for the PS5. But as far as the Switch is concerned, I think collecting is on another level. Maybe Ken's games collection can maybe chime in on that. He's more of a Switch guy than I am at this time. But like even the new Prince of Persia game that was, universally acclaimed by critics, but it was not really well received as far as sales is concerned. I think it was a little bit of a flop. You can pick that game up on the Switch, and it's my understanding when you pop it on the Switch, you're not greeted with the Ubisoft screen that's trying to get you to log into Ubisoft.net or whatever it is. You can bypass that and just play the game offline on the Switch. So I saw that Prince of Persia game at Walmart. It's about $10 less than a first-party game for the Switch, so still expensive, but again, if you were to pick up that new Prince of Persia game, you'd be further ahead to pick it up for the Switch than you would for the Xbox or the PlayStation, in my opinion. If you're in it for, the idea that maybe someday maybe you will resell your games and maybe you will want to get back what you paid for it. Sometimes it makes sense to buy it for the Switch. These games really do seem to hold their value quite well. Which brings me to the topic. The other thing I want to talk about is the first-party games are hella expensive and rarely go on sale. I noticed recently Breath of the Wild, how old is that game now? It's almost 10 years old. You can now get it at Walmart in Canada, and it's $10 less than a brand new first-party Nintendo Switch game. So it is technically discounted, but not by much. And all the other first party games that have been released within the last 3 years, they're all full retail. And even when you try to buy these games used on the classifieds, people a lot of times don't want to budge. I have seen Metroid. What's the new Metroid on the Switch? They're not new. It came out a couple of years ago. Dread. I have seen that for $45, $50 online. So again, versus paying $79.99 for that game at the store plus tax. You can get some deals online. The new Metroid, what do you call it there? The first-person shooter, the one that came out on the GameCube that was re-released on the Switch. I can't remember the name of it. It's on the tip of my tongue. That's a discounted release. You can get that for like $30 or $40 at Walmart. So yeah, there are good deals. Again, a lot of times it's the third-party releases that I'm kind of looking at because the price is right. I can't afford to. Metroid Prime, that's what it was. I can't afford to be spending $80, $90 a pop on these Switch games. I could, but that would be really reckless and irresponsible of me to do that. You know, like when I went to GameStop, that's kind of what I ended up doing, right? This was like $40 or $50. This was $40, and this was like $60, right? So I was like, oh, I'll just get them all while I'm here. And I ended up spending whatever it was. It was like $170 when I walked out the store. So I don't plan on collecting a massive Switch collection, but you know, I'm trying to keep it eclectic and niche, like the certain titles that I'm getting that are, you know, maybe they didn't get a physical release on the Xbox or the PS4 or PS5, like Deadly Premonition 2. Or, you know, an example like Cuphead here. I just thought it would be really cool to have this for the Switch. So, yeah, it is a bitch to collect for the Switch. I picked up a game. I think I bought it from Australia. Speaking of Ken's Games collection, it's called Yoku's Island Express, and it got a very limited release. It wasn't really mass produced, and it's kind of like a Metroidvania, but it's got a pinball sort of aesthetic or a mechanism as part of the gameplay mechanic. Very interesting looking game. So I ended up ordering that. I think I paid $40 or $50 for that. So yeah, I kind of have to be picky and choosy with my Switch games. So I do enjoy it. I enjoy it quite a bit. You know, I have seen, you know, out on my travels when I look at used Nintendo Switch consoles, I have seen quite a few where the thumbsticks are looking pretty gnarly. You know, either they're chipped up or they're scratched or they're broken. So, you know, I don't know how easy it is to replace these. I think maybe it'd be easier just to buy new Joy-Cons. I know you can obviously get those at Walmart. But no, I don't regret buying it whatsoever. As someone who would constantly criticize and make fun of the Nintendo Switch, I do see the appeal. I do see how people can get sucked into it. And, you know, I do see how even though a game might get an inferior port on a Switch compared to how the game will look on a Series X or a PS5, I do see how someone could potentially be more attracted to the idea of playing the same game on the Switch at 720p or 1080p or whatever it is, because the thing is I don't have the greatest eyes, okay? I don't have the best eyesight. And when I'm looking at a game on the screen in front of my face, I would be hard-pressed to tell the difference between, as an example, Prince of Persia, playing it on the Switch versus what it might look like on the Xbox Series X. For me personally, once you start looking at the smaller screen, it's really hard to pick and poke and poke holes in the flaws of the Switch port, as an example. It really depends on the game, right? So yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy collecting for it. I enjoy playing the Switch. It is a little bit of an expensive rabbit hole to go down. I ended up picking up this console used. I can't even remember what I paid for it. I think I paid $300 for it. I think. And yeah, I go to the pawn shop once in a while. I take a look at the Switch games. I still, to this day, I've never seen a Nintendo Switch or a Switch game at the thrift store. I don't think that will ever happen. These games are going to hold their value quite a bit. You know, you're seeing, somebody else talked about it, another YouTuber that I watch, but they were talking about how there was like an old game that was released for like the Xbox 360 and the PS3. I think it was Darksiders, and it actually got a misprint, a re-release on the Switch, but it got a misprint, and the spine was like black. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Really cool. But that's actually not. That's besides the point. He was just talking about how Darksiders, those games, you can pick them up all day on the 360 and the PS3 for like $5 or $10. I've seen them before. I've never thought to purchase them. I'm sure they're good. I haven't played them before. But he was just talking about how that Darksiders collection that was released for the Switch, it's like it keeps on going up, 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 up. It's like $60, $70, $80. So yeah, no, the games keep going up in price. A lot of the games go out of print. The remake of Link's Awakening, as far as I understand it, it's out of print now. So collectors are starting to gravitate towards that. Like I said, I picked up Quake 2 from Limited Run Games recently, but when I pre-ordered it, I had not yet purchased the Switch. Had I had the Switch at the time when I went to pre-order that game, I probably would have picked it up for the Switch. Which brings me to my next bit I wanted to talk about, and then we'll wrap this video up. There are certain games that make sense to play on the Switch. You know, Cuphead is an example. But there are other games, and I would say Quake and Quake 2, where I personally think a game like this deserves to be played in front of a big screen TV with the lights out and maybe nice stereo set or headphones on. To play a game like this on a tiny screen on the Switch doesn't really do it justice. That's my opinion. You know, another one would be, I don't think it ever came out on the Switch. Maybe it did, but Until Dawn for the PS4 or The Quarry. You know, those are games where it would make sense to sit back in front of a big TV and soak it all in and have it in front of you. I find the Switch is best for light sort of arcade 2D side-scrolling adventures or arcade racers as an example. But when you get into heavily involved games, like even Red Dead Redemption, which got a release on the Switch, I don't know. I think it makes more sense to play those games on a console. That's just my opinion on it. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there. I could keep on talking about the Switch, but this video is already coming up on the 20-minute mark. But yeah, those are my initial impressions on the Switch. I really do enjoy it. I probably won't pick up the new Switch when it comes out in 2025. I'll just be holding on to this one here. I don't regret not picking up the OLED model, even though it probably looks life-changing as far as how the colors and the darks and the dark blacks look. I get that, but I'm fine with this. This is fine for what I need. But that's it. It'll be interesting to see as we get very close to the end of the life cycle, the life cycle of the Switch, if they come out with like a limited release, maybe one that's like titanium or all aluminum Joy-Cons. That would be really cool to see as well. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to cut it off there. I appreciate any of you guys that stuck around to the very end. I just wanted to give you guys my initial impressions on the Nintendo Switch. So that's going to do it for this video. I'll be back with something a little bit later. Thanks so much for watching, and have a good night.